is being recorded. Yes, continue. I think I would suggest we start in about 1 minute. Is it okay? Just Martin, would you like perhaps already say a few words, or are you also waiting till for the technical instructions for the?
We've opened the room already, so everyone will just come straight in from the waiting room, and we'll normally wait a little bit until the audio connects. We will also make co-host all the co-speakers, and so that will allow you to unmute themselves. But if you're a participant, you will find that that's disabled until we open up for Q&A. And it sounds like we still have a couple of participants joining in. So maybe if you think, Miroslav, we could wait just a couple more minutes, and then you can usher us with some welcoming.
Yes, then let's wait for another 2 minutes. Let's see, our keynote speaker and Voice of Youth Vienna is also with us already. I will ask Tom whether everything is all right. Zoom link, okay. Tom does not have the link. I will send it to him, then we will start. Dali Wögerbauer from the Austrian ministry said that she will try to join, but she has quite a busy schedule. We'll see. She'll be able, and she said if she will not be, then I should say on behalf of her some friendly words. So, Tom is here already. No, then I would suggest that we start. Yes, we are recording. So, Martin, do you agree that we start?
Great. Kick us off, Miroslav. Great to have everyone online.
Thank you very much, Martin. Good evening and good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. We are having here the webinar with blockchain technology and digital innovation towards climate neutral cities and citizens. It is a side event to the Daring Cities Forum of ICLEI, which is a local environmental initiatives, a consortium of cities and municipal authorities. And these are really the leaders in climate action, those cities that aim for climate neutrality fast and effectively. And we are proud and happy to be here with our climate chain coalition and with blockchain technology solution providers offering somehow to partner to create solutions and to really build a concrete project consortia in light of opportunities of the European Green Deal call and other funding opportunities that we will speak about. And this event is being co-organized by my organization, ICLEI Gotcha, and in partnership with the Climate Chain Coalition and ICLEI, and also the Yale Open Innovation Lab, Open Climate Collaborathon. And with this, I would give the word to Yunus Arikan from ICLEI, who was somehow initiator of the event because he participated in our blockchain climate change coalition event at the California Global Climate Action Summit already 2018. And also later we've been in contact, and Yunus has seen the potential to connect these solutions with challenge holders among cities, and the local action, the city level action is the most important level of action and governance. And so we are happy and proud to be with you. Thanks, Yunus. If you would please say a few words about the context.
Thank you, Miro. Thank you, Martin, all the colleagues or the partners. This is really a great pleasure. My name is Yunus Arika, and I'm delighted to represent ICLEI here. It is true, we are the global network. We have more than 1,700 members in more than 100 countries, and we have been in this space for sustainability and cities since 1990. Climate is, of course, an area, but our policy is for low emission, nature-based, resilient, circular, and equitable development, so that it is all aspects of sustainability. Let me just give you a couple of remarks about how this whole thing fits into the Daring Cities Forum, as Miro mentioned. It is, in fact, a response. Since Copenhagen in 2009, we were trying to mobilize around the resilience concept, knowing that Copenhagen failed and there will be more disasters and we should prepare our base. That was actually well received, and we knew that was a difficult era. So over these years, there was also, we contributed into the design of the multilateral process for a Paris Agreement and SDGs. After 10 years now, United Nations says that we're in the decade of sustainability action. We're in the implementation of Paris Agreement and climate emergency. It obviously needs to reschedule our efforts, and instead of now, yes, we are still well below the targets, but we have to keep this momentum, and especially in the sense that through the citizen engagement we have seen in the streets, reflecting to the policies, to the town halls, to the parliaments, there is still a chance for us to develop a new world. And that is exactly why Paris Agreement is so exciting. So we wanted to have this daring approach in this new momentum, and we have seen that over these 3 weeks we are literally receiving a very good response. When we say daring, we say know more, act better, and lead together. That's how are we defining. And all these 3 weeks we had more than 100 sessions on different aspects of this scope, and we are trying to introduce new ways of mechanism of citizen engagement. I mean, we released, for example, that more than 500 cities in our network are now committed for climate neutrality. That's the good news. That is really that it is a huge base now. The bad news is that nobody knows how to reach that, or nobody's able to be sure that they are on track. And this morning exactly there was a discussion about Bonn and Milwaukee, saying that how we can bring citizen power, how we can mobilize them and introduce new technologies. And again, yesterday, Japanese Minister of Environment already announced that Japan is thinking of raising ambition because of the city's commitment, and they will come in a forum, global forum. So it brings us to the chance that in this next 10 years, we should think of different ways of mechanisms, different ways of engagement, the blockchain, this new digitalization. In fact, Miro was one of the sessions earlier a couple of weeks ago, that these are the new contexts that should not be think outside, but inside all our experts on climate neutrality, climate emergency. And I'm very happy that this distinguished community is now sharing your experience and trying to find our solutions, so that this process scales up. We can run faster. That is exactly the spirit of this meeting, and I'm really eager to share your experiences also with our communities. More important to implement. And by the time we were designing this event, there was no call of European Union Green Deals, so now it's coming up. We are also discussing about local Green Deals. So obviously there's a huge potential. Here are the one of the best opportunities to craft this collaboration. So without further ado, I'm just giving the floor to eager to listen to all the speakers and how to make the connections together. Thank you very much, and congratulations once again.
Wonderful, Yunus. You are great. You are the innovator and bridge builder. Thank you very much. And with this, I give the floor to another pillar of today's event, and this is Tom Baumann, the co-chair of the Climate Change Coalition, who is also a big leader in digital and as well as in social and governance innovation that is needed for bringing us towards climate neutral societies. Tom, please.
Thank you very much, Miroslav. Just to do a sound check. Is it coming through
Yes.
fine? Fantastic. Hello, everyone. Nice to be joining you today, and thanks for organizing this event. And for those great opening remarks for today's event as well. I think you were absolutely right to focus on leading together as a core pillar for the Daring Cities movement. And I think even more broadly speaking, I've heard it said in different ways from some of the core organizations like the UN and other international organizations speak of disruptive leadership, not in a negative way at all, but in very positive means in terms of bottom-up participatory empowered action by cities, by individuals, very much involving all hands on deck approach. And that is a combination of many new ways of doing things or innovations, digital innovations, the governance and social innovations, i.e. non-technical innovations that are absolutely essential to combine all together in order to really enable this decade of change to come about as rapidly and efficiently and effectively as we can make it happen. So very briefly, I will introduce a little bit about the Climate Change Coalition, which was founded on the second anniversary of the Paris Agreement, and following some very active events and various initiatives within the UN process, overwhelming really at that time, in terms of how many people started to recognize these solutions as having huge potential for scaling climate action, making it more participatory and so on. And so the the Climate Change Coalition from roughly, well, just under 3 years now, started off with about 25 members, and now we're about 225 members, which are organizations in around 50 countries around the world. All different types of stakeholder groups. Maybe 40–50% are the digital solution developers, and the others are all stakeholders set from academia, research, NGOs, cities, and so on, to come together to form a global network, cooperate in how they're bringing these different innovations to bear across the spectrum of climate actions. So of course, greener, cleaner power systems, nature-based solutions, supply chains. I just before this call finished web meeting with people around municipal solid waste and how these digital solutions can accelerate action, make it more effective there as well. So there's really just a unlimited potential for these solutions to be applied within the context of cities, and then as a bottom-up movement, particularly as we are planning the sustainable recovery, thinking of ensuring that all of our investments are aligned with promoting the SDGs and the the Paris Agreement climate goals as well. And so very happy to be here. I won't take much more time in terms of our own introduction here, but I know there's a fantastic panel of speakers here, and thanks again for welcoming the Climate Change Coalition. One final announcement, and really to underscore the importance of engaging individuals, citizen climate entrepreneurs to speak of terms that Miroslav Polzer has been cultivating and socializing within the Climate Change Coalition the last couple of years. Very happy that he's just recently become the strategic director for the Climate Change Coalition, and I hope Miroslav you'll be able to speak to some of your plans later on in this call. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's a great honor and pleasure to work now officially also on behalf of Climate Change Coalition, because it's an organization that I really believe in, and yeah, happy to very much optimistic that we will have great successes together. And with this, coming to Martin Weinstein, who is also an important player in this field of blockchain for climate action, coordination and incentivization, and also offering today this Zoom platform for us, as he did already for several of our previous events, and also a founding member of the Digital Innovation Community and Climate Change Coalition member. Martin, please.
Thank you very much, Miroslav. Always a pleasure to join the energetic events that you helped put together, and thank you, Yunus, for also bringing in a very important topic. My name is Martin Weinstein. I run the Open Innovation Lab at Yale University, an initiative that crosses emerging digital technologies, the importance of multi-stakeholder actor collaboration, and open innovation in general, but in the context of large systemic projects that really help us make action at the local level have repercussions at the global stage. I also lead the Open Earth Foundation, which is a nonprofit based in California, which essentially does the same thing, but in an independent fashion. And being part of the Climate Change Coalition for some time, this has been really a great network that I think also shows the blueprint for some of the things that we need to discuss today. And I was inspired by the title that says towards, among other things, towards climate neutral cities and citizens. And perhaps to frame the talk from where I see it, there's two very important parts to achieve that. One is to become citizens if we're not there. And there's a hub to be citizens, which is understanding that as individuals, we are part of a larger network, that we're deeply interconnected. And cities are the hub for our immediate emission and environmental footprint. So we are nested in cities. But we also have to realize that all of our neighbors are part of the same process. And when it comes to climate action and climate neutrality, it's very important that we move from here's me as an individual, and here's the cities that are responsible to do action, and the countries and the corporations, but realizing we are part of that. And that is a very conscious process of consciousness and social. But at the same time, there's a very important part around carbon neutrality, which is realizing that we're citizens of Earth, so that we are also part of that broader platform. Now that is very important input into the recipe is not driven by technology. It's driven by our social capacity to understand where we sit in our complex environment. And then, of course, there is now more and more the second part of this recipe, which is how can we that are driven by what we see in our sensorial perception actually understand the connectedness with those macro systems through technology, because technology in some sense can help us realize how these things that are connected, see them in numbers and help produce the trust that my action actually contributes to the action of the city. And both of these things combine ideally to make this possible towards carbon neutral cities and citizens is that our pledges have to be aligned, that my action as a citizen helps the city, and the pledge of the city and all of our neighbors helps us there. And that nested relationship that has also guided our work, and I'll talk a little bit about it later as well, is also what scales from cities to subnational governments, to sovereign nations, and to the supranational entities that help us in the process, such as the UNFCCC and the Paris Agreement. That is how we can connect directly as citizens in the context of the Paris Agreement. And with that, I'd love to pass it back to Miroslav to kick off some of the exciting speakers we have today.
Thank you very much, Martin, really for this enlightening context setting, and especially the notion of citizenship. It's perfect. It's really 100% in line with the vision of this event. And with this, in terms of context setting, I'm now delighted to invite Vienna Loy to take the floor. Vienna is a blockchain expert, but also a leader in civic engagement from Malaysia to California, and really we've we've listened to several of her presentations already, and it's really triggering a new thinking about what the individual can do and how to do it and what is needed. And therefore, Vienna, please guide us with your vision and your thoughts.
Thank you, Miro. I wanted to take a moment with all of y'all here, just showing the nature that we are blessed with here. I'm currently in Berkeley, California, and I wanted to just take a deep breath with all of y'all together. Okay, with that, we'll enter the computer world. And I'm gonna start with just breezing through, like if y'all are interested in the previous presentation that I've given that Miro highlighted, it talks about my journeys in Malaysia, in the indigenous people's rainforests, helping them with like making sure that the rainforests are preserved and not chopped down. Unfortunately, we did lose a lot of the battles, which is why I was in Silicon Valley, because I felt like we really need to go upstream here and solve the root of the problem. So I ended up with a startup, like working on how can we redesign the economy. And eventually I also ended up in the UN, winning some global climate hackathon. And after all of that, I still come back to, well, actually it's the communities that really matter for me. But what is preventing us from solving the problem? And I would say like we ought to all understand the super wicked problem of climate change, being that time is running out, there's no central authority, and the people who are seeking to solve the problem, and I'm looking at technologies as well, is often the people who are causing it. And that we also have no sense of time. Like we don't understand the price of the future. We don't understand what it means to lose life. How do we put price tag on trees that are never going to be there again? And so that is why I think what Greta said is the most truthful thing that we can admit to ourselves, which is that today's systems is actually causing climate change, and we cannot hope to solve the crisis by using the same tools. So with that, I'd like to orient ourselves to say, hey, if we already recognize that, how do we design a new system that doesn't get trapped in the wickedness of people, but also it chooses wisely, like what your communities, your cities, your citizens need. Now, what I work with the group Jack Stanford shows is that there's 3 very important variable things for designing solution, which is the first being time. But time doesn't work in a linear way when it comes to climate change. It's very important to know that your action today is exponentially more important than tomorrow, because it's such a unpredictable crisis. We don't know like when we're. In fact, people even argue that we are too late. Not most, but I would say it's enough. And so then the next one is temperature. The temperature that we're looking at is how can we get 7.6 billion people to coordinate 0-degree hours? What I mean by that is every hour we have 7.6 billion people heating up the earth. How can those 7.6 billion people actually contribute to 7.6 billion 0-degree hours? It's an impossible goal right now because we don't know what climate neutrality even means. So I will say that still, that's the goal. That's the goal when climate change actually stops. Now, when it comes to capital, what we also need to understand is because our capital system is causing such system of injustice, that we ought to look elsewhere to see if is there something else that we can create that is not heating up the earth? The capital doesn't actually heat up the earth. Is it possible to create a cool economy instead of a hot economy? Is it possible that my wallet, my money, my capital is actually contributing to cooling down the earth? And I would say that this is where distributed ledger technology comes in. like there's a lot going on in the distributed ledger space, but what I want to highlight are some solutions that I personally believe in. And it looks something like, okay, there is mutual credit that has been around since, if the holochain people are right, uh, it's actually as old as civilization. And there are a lot of different examples. I like to highlight Sardex because I thought like it is a city in Italy that was facing the credit crisis in 2008 and deep depression, and today they facilitated 31.3 million in transactions out of nowhere. So this is an example of like the kind of hope that cities will aim to achieve themselves. Now, the other one is also Offer Network. This is a bit further out in the future, but I truly believe that um, if we are serious about digital innovations, there will come a time where we do have enough information, climate sensitive information, where this is also where I hope Miro's work and also Martin's work in climate accounting can help in, because when we do have enough climate sensitive data, we can actually match people's needs as the demand that's needed in the system, and also offers like, like I can make an offer about this extra resource I have. So now we can actually not just have a barter economy, we could possibly have a gift economy at scale as well. And I would argue that with that, we can actually utilize the kind of sense making that communities have in a local scale. Like we can tell kind of like if we plant a tree here, it's going to help the climate, but it wasn't possible to do at scale. And I do think that this is where digital innovation can help. Now, I want to very quickly just show you an example of like at the 0 degree project, how we calculated our temperature increment, even at a very local scale. Like for example, like the time that we spend here on Zoom together. Like how do we convert that to know that what is our global contribution to the climate right now? And this has a lot of details that I would be happy to share with you after the talk. But the point is that we need something that is globally interoperable, and also like and it also gives an ability for local people to make sense of. So I would say that we can have an alternative like S&P 500 index, where instead of the stock market showing, a local like updated constantly, like what the profit of every company is, can we have something like that for climate? Can every cities do that? And I would say that if we start doing that, that's how we can break out of our own silo, and we can connect to other cities, we can share solutions, and we can even globally challenge one another. So it's very important for us to believe that local citizens can have innovations, and in fact, to say to them, any actions you take today is more powerful exponentially than tomorrow because of the nonlinear effect of climate change. And finally, I would just want to end by saying, I'm in this game with you. Feel free to email me or to tweet me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vienna, for this enlightening presentation and for inspiring us with your thoughts, and also with your invitation to join this global game. And because it does not need to be always depressing and everything, we can frame it as enjoying a community experience, and really that's wonderful. And as you have invited all of us to become part of the solution, I would now suggest to have a tour de table where everybody is presenting him or herself, and I will go through the list of participants as I have them here. Also the speakers, although they will speak also later, but starting here with Alexei. Alexei, could you say in 30 seconds who you are and what's your connection to the topic?
Hey everyone, my name is Alexei Shadrin, and I'm a CEO and founder of EverCity, and also I'm leading the finance working group within the Climate Chain Coalition. I've been into blockchain for climate finance space since 2016, and consider myself as one of the veterans of this space, together with some other members that are present together.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Now, David, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm David Greneman. I'm the senior research analyst at MD International. We're an organization that our expertise is in approaching European grant programs with Israeli companies, specifically research and innovation grants. And I'm very happy and honored to be here. I'm personally mainly a fan of the blockchain space, but I had the pleasure to start a cooperation with Miroslav, and I'll be speaking about that later.
Yes, very much looking forward to your presentation, which follows this tour de table. Doug, please.
Hi, thanks. My name is Doug Reagan. I work with UN Habitat, and I am in the Human Rights and Social Inclusion Unit. My connection, I guess, with Miro and doing lots of work with him is just engagement of young people, how they can be recognized for the work they do, because often they're not, but also, and how they're taking climate leadership. Also, we're really interested in how young women are engaged in this. The last presentation was a perfect example of that. Yes, there's kind of the Greta Thunberg effect. Well, there's Greta Thunberg, and then there's the Greta Thunberg effect. And especially being with the United Nations, we're really interested in how that's panning out and catching fire in the developing world, and specifically Africa. So yeah, really excited to be here. And yeah, looking to listen to more. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Doug. Doug has been also with us at the COP25 in Madrid, December last year, the big United Nations Climate Change Conference, where we have also launched the digital innovation community within the UNFCCC process, and working with UN Environment on the World Environment Situation Room. And may I ask Anna B. to present yourself?
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Vienna, originally, currently trying to live in Madrid. I have an economics background, until now working in fraud detection, now trying to go further a bit into the field of sustainable urbanism, which was my master's as well. So yeah, I'm just really very curious about the whole topic.
Very nice. Next on the list is Anne Nelson. Could you?
Hello, good morning, everybody. I work in capacity building more around the biodiversity space, primarily with national government and some local government staff, generally around protected areas. So there were all over the world, a lot in Southeast Asia, Latin America. And so some of this stuff is not reality for decision making that's happening right now, but I'm always really interested in trying to keep current on tools to share in our work. And Jenna, I really appreciated your talk and all of your talks, and thank you very much. I look forward to learning more from you. Appreciate your work.
Thank you very much, Anne. Carlos?
Yes, hello, my name is Carlos. I work in the innovation system here in Sweden with a startup, and this is very interesting for me because we're trying to innovate in the field of energy systems, and I believe that digital tools will be a key solution to do this, and also try to bring innovations in energy closer to communities, such as more decentralized systems and community energy projects. So I think we're still missing a bit connections in this sense.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Okay, Carrick. Okay. Chris Chinapu. Okay. Gizem.
We got Carrick online now. Maybe Carrick, do you want to say a few words? I think there we need.
Hi there. I think you can all hear me now. Apologies for that. My name is Carrick
Okay.
Redden.
Hi, Carrick.
I live in Paris and work with United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. So have done some work actually with Doug before, and studying metropolitan governance, and really interested in this space because I know very little of the way that technology can be deployed to supporting sustainable urbanism, but I'm excited to learn more.
Wonderful. Gisem?
Hello everyone, my name is Gizem. I'm joining from Istanbul, Turkey. I'm working coordination Research Council of Turkey in a research institute working in the field of environment. And I'm here to learn more about blockchain technology. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you for being with us. Cale Roberts.
Hey there, everybody. This is Cale Roberts on the ICLEI team out of the US office, where I serve as a network coordinator for about 300 US cities. Hi, Eunice. I get to work with Eunice, which is fantastic. And really here to learn about how our cities in the US and globally can use technology to better connect with their residents and show the people who live in cities that they are a piece of the puzzle. Great to be here.
Okay, great. And Lars? And then Lars, would you like to say a few words, or Leon?
Hey, this is Leon. I complete the ICLEI team. I work with Yunus and Kay. I'm also based in the Bonn office, and these days we're just busy hosting the conference, which we hope you're all enjoying. And I'm just here because I find it really exciting that we're also bringing this angle to the conversation and see how maybe, because this kind of technology is kind of coming out of, I guess, a smart city discourse, but I'm also then interested to see how we kind of leverage it to tackle the more the solutions connected to the 3 Rio agendas.
Wonderful. Really very grateful to have ICLEI so strongly represented today, because ICLEI is really the action network in the UN system, really in the processes, the Commission on Social Development, high-level political forum, everywhere really this work of ICLEI, your leadership and your ambitious cities drive the ambition and action, and thank you for this, and we are happy that we are now starting to some more strategic cooperation here. And Olivia Correa, would you like to say something? Or Raker? Or Risa? It's nobody is really obliged to speak, but I'm inviting everybody.
Hi, my name is Risa Goldstein, and I just see that my picture is here. I didn't expect to be on screen, so.
You are looking great.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, I'm in New Jersey, right outside of New York. I'm an architect and planner and a partner with the Goldstein Partnership. Our firm is nearing its 70th year of providing, I'm not that old, this is multiple generations of family. We serve municipal governments in this region, and our work focuses, sadly, it's come to focus lately on climate adaptation of public buildings. I've spoken in Bonn at a prior ICLEI on the subject of changing land use plans to, in a way that encourages the real estate community to build, sustainably in cities, and it's a pleasure to be here. This is a subject I know nothing about, and I'm very excited to learn more. And I'm always looking for ways to bring new thinking to our clients, to myself, and to the work that we do. So Thank you. It's lovely to meet everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you, Risa. Happy to have you with us. Sumi Nakaya or Teresa.
Yes, hi, I'm Sumi Nakaya. I am from the UN, but from the Department of Peace Operations, where I manage peacekeeping missions in war zones like Sudan, South Sudan, and so forth. I'm new to this. I'm interested in the more city-based ceasefire, reconciliation, recovery from sort of holistic perspectives, and I'm here to listen and learn from you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Teresa, would you like also to say something?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Teresa Kerber. I am working for GIZ, the German Technical Development Corporation, and I am head of the program, global program, ACT-based adaptation to climate change in cities. This is implemented by GIZ. It's a commission from the German Federal Ministry of the Environment, and also from the global project International Smart Cities Network. This is also commissioned from the Federal Ministry of the Interior.
Wonderful. Great potentials here. And with this, I give back the floor to David to tell us something about the European Green Deal call as an opportunity perhaps for us to develop comprehensive solutions that will combine digital innovation towards climate neutral cities and citizens. David, please take the floor.
Oh, thank you very much, Miroslav. So I have to say, hearing everybody here and also the short presentations that we've seen before, I'm just very honored to be around you guys. And in general, what you're doing, I'll just say that I was brought into the blockchain world actually from social action when we had this sort of Occupy Wall Street sort of thing happening in Israel in 2011, and the understanding of the need to distribute action is really what made me interested, and to see it flourish and hopefully growing more and more is very inspiring. So like I said, MDI, we connect Israeli organizations, particularly in technology, into European action. And just to take a step a little bit away from the more general outlook, I'll be discussing a specific project that we're approaching coming in January with the European Green Deal. So just to get a little bit of a, there we go, just to get a little bit of an idea of what we have as far as the European Green Deal Area 9.2 is requesting for end user products and services for all stakeholders and citizens supporting climate adaptation and mitigation. In general, the idea of this call is to facilitate the transfer of information, specifically climate relevant information, the kind of information that would allow citizens to get a better idea of what exactly is going on with regards to the environment, how it pertains to what they're doing, and then also to help in facilitating the sort of action and the sort of interaction that would actually help make this happen. So in response to this, we've developed with, we started developing with an Israeli company called Atlas, which develops a platform for philanthropic organizations to get in touch with potential either action oriented organizations that would like to provide the service, or the organization or the people who should receive their support. And with along with them, we're developing basically a platform that will facilitate the global interaction of information. So the point being this. So in general, and actually this brings me back to what Vienna Louis mentioned. She said a lot of the activity today is very siloed. So this is not only true as far as people's personal perception, but in reality, when people come to climate action, they don't tend to say, well, what's the project that's most relevant to me in the world? Because there isn't really what can facilitate that. Instead, they say, well, I'm in, for instance, Spain, so I'll see what the Spain environmental services are talking about, or what the EU is talking about. And there are certain things that the UN or the Global Climate Fund also do. But in general, action is very siloed, which is absurd considering that this is perhaps the most global action field of action that we could possibly imagine. So we're creating a platform where organizations can find the funding relevant to themselves, where they can understand what previous projects have done, so that they can build not in a siloed way, but in a way that's connected to actions in the past before, and where organizations can find each other, and also where funders can get a little bit of information of how organizations are relating to their programs, they're understanding what's being presented to them, and also also if organizations can what it is that organizations are offering, what kind of organizations are around. So this goes together with Miroslav's activity very well. I think a good way to put it is here. What we have is what we're bringing as a pillar to the project is the connection between global climate action and organizations, and how this communication can happen globally. While what Miroslav focuses on, and from what I'm hearing in general, is a focus for GLOCHA and for the Climate Change Coalition in general, is more the local municipality to citizen. So in a way, what now that we met each other, we realize that if we bridge between those two things, then we're really creating a sort of an actor network that goes all the way through, and eventually we hope will facilitate distributed information bottom up and top down. So what we're primarily looking for now to complete sort of the sort of triad of what we're trying to put together. So we have the global to organizational, local to citizen, and then the main thing we need to add to that now is the environmental context. Since we have people coming in for the relevant incentives and through the actions, looking for grants or motivations for citizens, then that is the perfect opportunity to present with them with sort of an understanding of exactly how what they're doing connects with the climate, and what is going to be the impact of their action, and what is going to be perhaps the impact of their inaction. So we're looking for organizations that can help in facilitating that. That is also making the information accessible and understandable and relevant to people, and also in the sense of making the information and bridging the information from GSS, Copernicus, and various other environmental information aggregators. And the application ends at late January, and we're going full steam ahead, and very excited towards the opportunity. So thank you very much, Miroslav, and everyone.
Thank you very much, David. It's really a very beautiful coincidence that we have met, because I've been on this information day, virtual information day for the European Green Deal call. And I thought, okay, perhaps we can somehow attach ourselves to something. And I've presented there the idea of an individual climate action dashboard app. And then David responded to our cooperation offer there. And then we've had one call, we've had another call. And then at the end, I started to believe that we can really do a big thing together, really implementing the whole idea of a data and digital innovation infrastructure solution for climate neutral cities and citizens, and also with the expertise of MD International and other partners that you have, also from the enterprise sector, from the business sector, and the philanthropy sector with the company Atlas that we have there. Now, and here I will present you now what our solution approach is for climate neutral cities and citizens, with a focus on crypto stamps and this individual climate action dashboard app, the Good Life app. So my name is Miroslav Polzer. I'm with ICLEI, a UN-accredited civil society organization based in Austria, and I'm also strategic director of the Climate Change Coalition. And we are also setting up the GLOCHA multi-stakeholder partnership as a joint resource mobilization and program implementation arm, which is now registered in the US, recognized as a 501c3 organization, which can receive tax deductible donations. And the vision is to create some kind of next generation of the United Nations for non-state actors, because the national governments have set up the UN system for themselves. They are coordinating among themselves on behalf of citizens and everybody else, but all the other people and stakeholders who are also very much needed for these ambitious global goals to succeed, they don't have really a global ecosystem or framework where they could coordinate and build communities. And that's what we are trying to connect, to build up with the help, especially also of blockchain technology, which is a game changer and enabling totally new forms of cooperation and coordination and incentivization. So here, the main message, everyone needs to become climate neutral, and therefore also the topic of today's event. Citizens and cities, if they are climate neutral, then the world has won. And but it's a big challenge. Who is climate neutral? As Vienna has already outlined, it's not really possible to be totally climate neutral, but we have to find an approximation of this good life, individual, very low carbon footprints, and also investment and engagement in local and thematic communities. And so what we are saying with GLOCHA and with our event here also today is that there are three elements that are needed for climate neutral cities and citizens. One is this new thinking, a new narrative that this climate neutral citizen, individual climate neutrality, that's the new standard. It's not something fancy or for crazy people. It's the new normal. It's the new ethical societal standard, and everybody should aspire to be climate neutral. And the second message is that we can create communities, because as also Vienna has said, there's so much action isolated in silos, and that's not helpful. We need a nourishing and enabling ecosystem, a community where one helps another, because we are all working towards a common good. And if we work together, if we share resources, then we are all better off. And digital technology, blockchain technology, can help us set this up. And the third element is that we need the tools, really, especially also incentive mechanisms, digital finance, and in order to make the communities functioning, and also for this good life legacy that we want to leave in our world, that this is really certified and it's not contested and it's trustworthy. So this new narrative, it starts with me, is the cultural innovation. The second element is that we can set up these climate action communities, and the city level is perfect for setting up such digital climate action communities. This is a social innovation combined with digital innovation. And the third element is that we can, with digital finance, create new incentive mechanisms, tokenization. It does not always need to be money, as also Vienna has said. Gift economy would also have great potentials. And the third element is, the fourth element here is that if we develop a global standard for a good life and have also a global registry of climate action and resource management, then this will enable global community to function. And for this to work, it's not possible that an individual solution provider comes, or an individual city. There's really a global, local data and digital innovation infrastructure needed, and digital finance tools for climate neutral cities and citizens, including digital pact app or individual climate action dashboard, the Good Life app, climate action communities platforms, citizens climate action outcome certification, digital finance and crypto stamps, and global climate action reporting language and registry, including unique object identification and unique outcome certification. And the future of global climate action is that there will be citizens, individuals, especially also youth, having the commitment to become climate neutral and having on their mobile phone the tools, the digital tools that will help them to lead a good life, low carbon life, a quasi climate neutral lifestyle. And we have concrete solutions on how the digital infrastructure for this needs to look like, with a combination of technological and non-tech infrastructure, interoperability standards, digital identity management, digital finance, smart contracts, and collective decision-making about resources for trusted and accountable multi-stakeholder climate action. And for the resource mobilization part, we have introduced the concept of crypto stamps, carbon footprint compensation crypto stamps, where people can, on the one hand, so first to show you the concept of a crypto stamp, it's a standard stamp, which has also a QR code, and it has then a digital twin on a blockchain wallet, for which you get the access through the access code that is on the back of the card. That's that's the luxury version of a crypto stamp, which makes it interesting also from the gamification and digital collectible side. But it can be also run only in the digital world. And then it's the idea that people have this uniquely identified tokens, which certify that they have contributed financial resources, which can be bought online or in post offices or in fuel stations or whatever. And people who have, let's say, if I have a residual carbon footprint of 8 tons per year, then I would have to buy crypto stamps for 8 tons. And let's say 1 ton is 50 euros. And that's quite a lot of money already coming together. And with this digital currencies and blockchain technology, we can facilitate that the one who is purchasing this crypto stamp can channel the money towards digital wallets of digital communities. So you can set up in your city a group of people who decide, yes, I want to become climate neutral. I'm willing to pay this voluntary carbon added tax. And I will send the money from the purchase of this crypto stamp to the digital wallet of my city. And then the community can decide how this financial resources will be used. And then also the different players, the different climate action takers can create stories and outcome tokens from their climate actions, and the digital communities then decide which kind of tokens or crypto stamps they are buying, and there can be created a marketplace and minting and trading of climate action story or outcomes with information that is available on the global registry. So also the digital communities will play a role in social proof of action, and really this combined with digital measurement, reporting and verification. And once all these quality criteria will be approved, achieved, the information will be inserted into a global registry. And once this information about climate action taken by citizens or also enterprises or cities, it will be possible to download this on the individual climate action app, dashboard app. So that's very brief. And so once again, the future of global climate action starts now with this Glotcha Good Life app and our crypto stamps. It's really enabling communities and the individual having in its hand this the tools and the digital community building mechanisms, and also this new standard of a good life. David has spoken already that this is part of this EU Green Deal call project initiative. We will generate there this individual climate action dashboard platform and app, carbon footprint compensation based on crypto stamps, non-fungible tokens, digital collectibles, creation of blockchain-based digital communities for the verification of climate action outcomes, claims, and for collaborative decision-making on the allocation of financial resources of local city-level digital communities, blockchain-based global climate action registry for citizens and especially youth, a digital marketplace for climate action, non-fungible tokens, and creation also of voluntary city-level carbon added tax systems, and bridge building with the national taxation information system also, because we believe that, for instance, in Austria, the national government has said that there will be is this aim to become climate neutral by 2040. And in order to really achieve these national goals, we need cities and citizens to become climate neutral too, and therefore there will need to be tax incentives, and based on such a high quality certification system for action and outcomes, this will be possible. Here, today's event has the aim to find partners for this Good Life app pilot, and including crypto stamps, and also for the topic that Alexei will present about digital green climate bonds, and also to see with ICLEI how we can integrate this reporting on individual citizens and youth climate action data to the UNFCCC NASCA portal, the UN Global Climate Action Data Portal, because ICLEI is already a partner, a data partner of the UN there, and together we can develop a solution that will go beyond the existing statistical approaches towards more real-time data, and with citizens' data included. And and another additional potential source of funding is that we are working with the Austrian Federal Ministry of Climate Action on a two-phased international conference on innovative resource mobilization for climate action empowerment, addressing also philanthropy and other players. And if we develop solutions here, we might be able to present it there as well. And here are my contact details. And with this, I give back to and ask Alexei to present his solutions for climate neutral cities and citizens.
Thank you very much, Miroslav. And let me use again this opportunity to congratulate you on your new official position within the Climate Change Coalition. It's well deserved, and I'm sure that the coalition will advance in its aims and goals, and will thrive with your assistance. So yeah, I'm also very thankful to Yunus and ICLEI for having an opportunity to present here, because I represent EverCity, which is originally called Smart Sustainable Cities Ecosystem. and we really believe in the power of cities. So I'm really going to start a little bit with you know, our vision and what is EverCity. So in EverCity we have two main work streams. The first one is accelerator of smart sustainable city solutions and startups, because we think that we need to gather a lot of small pieces and then connect them together, because the information which is originated in cities, it could be somehow refined and used by many applications and many solutions. And the second work stream that we have is EverCity Lab, where we develop our own solutions, and I'm going to speak about them a little bit later. I just want to share some experience of my participation in the United Nations Climate Conference and the negotiations process since 2015, since the Paris conference. And I just missed only one conference in Morocco, and I've been on all the others. And apart from meeting many great people, such as Miroslav and Tom and others, I was really, you know, kind of disappointed, because I realized that national governments are failing to deliver what they actually tell to people, and they're failing in solving the global challenges, where the main one is climate change, but also all the others, and the governments are not succeeding. Also, there are corporations which are now very, you know, sustainable. And myself, within my other organization, Russian Carbon Fund, I was helping to corporations, multinationals establish and implement sustainability strategies, but they're very far from, you know, being sustainability kind of promoters at their core, because their core is doing global businesses, and they have global value chains, and they have global impact, and this impact is not so good. So they're also big players of the future, like national governments, but they're also failing to do anything for now. And the third power, which we think is the most important one, cities. And we really believe that cities are, you know, the most powerful force here, because citizens which are united by the city, they know much better their own resources, their threats, and their opportunities, and how to use them, and how to sustainably manage their territories. So when we consider sustainable development as a global concept, we think that, you know, the sustainable development concept globally could be really implemented effectively only on the city level. So we need to connect all the cities around the globe, which ICLEI is already doing, right? But but when we connect all these cities, right, we need to somehow understand which city has what are the pluses and minuses, what are the limitations, which resources are there in this city or in that city. And then we need a global computer to somehow analyze all these resources and establish something, you know, some exchange frameworks with very low transactional costs to enable the flow of people, of talents and technologies and resources and whatever we need to exchange to thrive and to implement sustainable development concept. So now with Industry 4.0 technologies, such as blockchain, such as AI, such as smart sensors, 5G, these concepts are now you know, possible to implement. And we're seeing the emergence of these concepts and approaches. And we really have an opportunity together with you to implement them for the benefits of cities. And from there, we can ensure global sustainability. This is what EverCity believes in. And we also work with International Telecommunications Union and their Smart Sustainable Cities initiative and other initiatives, because they're very much in line with that. They are providing also standards for global digitalization. And our belief is that all these technologies can help us assess and manage economic, social, and environmental impact of human activities and distribute it in the most precise and transparent way. So here my kind of the vision part is over. And I can tell you how we are developing that, advancing that on a practical level. So we started R&D in bridging digital technologies and impact climate issues in 2016. And together with some partners, we launched the concept of a blockchain open source framework for climate finance, a global solution software which everybody can use and benefit from outstanding transparency, traceability, trust, opportunity of peer-to-peer transactions. And using this system, we performed the world's first carbon credit transaction in blockchain. And that was a cross-border transaction between a French trading company which invested in an African solar power plant project on Mauritius Island. And then my organization, Russian Carbon Fund, bought these carbon credits. And this was all publicly available in a distributed ledger. So we showed that blockchain technology here can help us, overcome borders, overcome obstacles, barriers, make a transaction in minutes, make it really transparent, trustful, and efficient and cheap compared to conventional systems that exist now. So this is a very good example. Now we moved from there to introducing more impact collection data and solutions like smart sensors, like satellites, like drones, to connect this all with a distributed ledger to enable real economy impact tracking for financial instruments and settlement and distribution of impact to various investors. And this was also pretty successful. And we've done another interesting project with universities, helping them to implement their own decentralized autonomous organizations that somehow measure the climate carbon emissions and reduction actions like energy saving behavior and other stuff among the students, among the faculties and departments of the universities, and establish somehow an in-house university carbon market powered by blockchain. And this experiment was also successful. It was made in Kazakhstan, and it showed that we can connect various universities together in one system, in one game based on blockchain. We can boost environmentally safe behavior among students, faculty, staff, and others. And we can model such complicated processes as Paris Agreement on the university scale. Of course, cities also can be part of this game. And what Miroslav has mentioned is very important. And we can also use this opportunity to scale it to the university and the city level. And my final point would be the project that we're doing now with the support of Climate Change Coalition and Web3 Foundation, which is one of the leading blockchain investors and foundations globally that invests in new generation blockchain R&D solutions that provide interoperability and energy saving consensus mechanisms. So with their support and methodological support of UNFCCC, we're now developing an open source framework for green bonds. And this would be open software that cities and other actors could use to issue green bonds that are connected to the real life impact that projects are making, to provide more trust, transparency, and efficiency, like in my first example that I told to you. And this is very exciting. We need all sorts of participants there. We've already started this work, and we plan to finish it by December or early January. So we would be happy to find some cities to test this framework and see if it fits city sustainability needs, and so on and so forth. So I'm really excited to be here. Thanks again for this opportunity. And apart from what I've mentioned and what Miroslav mentioned, I really think that cities should be at the center of the sustainability landscape. And I really believe that together with you, we can develop such frameworks, such solutions that could unite cities, that could bring down all the walls that divide us and help us to prosper in a sustainable future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexei. And here perhaps some points to add. That's also how this topic of digital green bonds and the impact economy, data infrastructure for cities, smart cities. It is that there are studies which say that if an individual reduces their own carbon footprint, it's okay, it's nice, aiming to be climate neutral. But if one looks what this individual is doing with the financial resources and how these, where these financial resources are invested, and if channeling these resources towards green financial instruments, climate action enabling instruments, renewable energy infrastructure instruments, then the impact is more than 25 times higher than reducing your own climate footprint. So really looking how we can get also more data about financial instruments and their sustainability, ESG parameters, climate implications. That will be an important element also on this Good Life app, so that people will be able to document also when they are aligning their financial resources with these climate criteria. And it's also important for cities, these digital bonds. It will reduce transaction costs. There can be SDG bonds, there can be project bonds, and this will enable also citizens to invest in their own communities. Now the processes are so demanding, and cities don't know, only the big ones know how to issue bonds. But with these digital platforms and digital bonds, digital climate bonds as a service that we can offer, we will be able to help cities to really issue own climate action bonds, renewable energy infrastructure bonds, and building the bridge with the app also, where individuals can invest in their own city. And this kind of changes are very important and game-changing. And also the Digital Finance Task Force of the Secretary General for Sustainable Development has released a report about a month ago, People's Money, where there are also very many of these game-changing or paradigm shifts, saying let's look at these the individual, the citizen, because also the big pension funds, the institutional investors, they are administering the money of the citizens. It's not an anonymous pension fund. If the citizens say, I want my pension money to be invested in climate action bonds and this kind of things, then the carriage will start moving. And with this, to Martin, who is also having wonderful solutions for climate neutral cities and citizens, and also for financial dimensions of climate action enhancement.
Thank you, Miroslav. It's a pleasure to chime in again on this very good thread that you've laid out, and Alexei continued. And I'll share a little bit of it from my angle as well, how from the Yale Open Innovation Lab, we ended up understanding the importance of collaboration and climate accounting, and the role of obviously digital technologies in the process. And the story in some sense starts by trying to look at perhaps one of the important records that we need to keep in track over the next decades, which is the carbon budget. How much space the atmosphere still has that we can put in greenhouse gases into it, and how science allows us to give us a clear border of where we cannot cross. And so that's very much around having consensus on the physical budget that we all share. It's kind of having a single bank account. And I thought that this, from a record keeping standpoint, is fascinating, but a very complicated role. So we started asking around 2.5 years ago, how can we use digital technology to have better consensus on the state of our planetary carbon budget? And that led to, well, that's the physical state, the global, the world stage, the political stage. That's where the Paris Agreement comes in. That's where the 1.5 degree comes in, and where the nationally determined contribution come in. And so that led us through a lot of work on the role that digital technologies have on the political side. And one of the key aspects of climate accounting as it crosses these two realms is, what does science tell us we need to do? What from our political standpoint we said and say we're going to do? What did we do and where we're at now? And also, what do we still need to do and increase our emissions? And then obviously, how do we finance all of that? So and I'll share my screen in a little bit just to walk you through a couple of sites that you are able to explore yourself. But the result of the last couple of years leads to a lot of things that Miroslav and I'll say also pointing out, the importance that as we're tackling the digital records between individuals and cities and countries, we have to, and this is also something that Vienna pointed out, rather than working these things in silos, there's a huge role for the open source community to come up and establish common digital language when we talk about the planet, the budget, the NDC, and our actions and how these get financed. And this is a very direct analogy to the evolution of the internet. Without key open source protocols on how do we agree they use the same language, we would not be able to interoperate into a global climate web. And so we kind of have to think about how this translates into a climate web. And because this task is so massive, then we thought it's very important that perhaps the ultimate technology is how do we collaborate on agreeing how we all speak to each other, and coming up with common tools and portals that help us realize that we're all stakeholder of these digital tools that we have to build. And that led to the concept of the Open Climate Collaborathon as a way of revisiting the concept of a hackathon, where teams normally compete against each other, and rather, how do we work on different pieces of the same puzzle? And until this day, after a couple of years of having launched this and working on this, I say that collaboration is one of the most important technologies that we are yet to master. It's extremely hard because there's so many different tensions involved into the practices that we do, but also just geographically. So how do we build a bridge? This is something that we particularly find it fascinating at the lab and also at the foundation. I'm going to share my screen just to put faces to names of what I just described, and invite you to find ways in where you can participate. So this is the site for the Open Innovation Lab at Yale. We focus on a set of projects around climate accounting, as I'll talk now, financing solar, and even education around VR. And diving onto climate, this is the framework where exploring digital records for climate accounting led to this common framework around how do we bring in the physical consensus of the state of the planet, so the Earth system state, all the world actors and the registries. And this has become something very important, which is nested accounting, where the role of non-state actors, individuals and investors, have to fit within subnational actors, so provinces, regions, and cities, and these net within nations, which have their commitment to the global agreement. But then all of these actors are engaging on actions that, through the process of digitally verifying those actions, monitoring, reporting, and verification, we can have clear assets, digital assets that attest to that action created. And obviously that opens up to the world of in-network climate markets that we're still to design and redefine. But all of that integrated record is what needs to unleash the flow of financial capital. So the ultimate feedback loop is financial capital into climate value and also connected accounting information. So for that, there's a huge open source layer to work on and design. And because that task is so massive, we thought we would launch the Open Climate Collaborathon. And so I'll post these links in the chat. In 17 days, we launched the second iteration that was launched last year. And it's really a social experiment that we put out there, inviting everyone to participate. This year, there's a lot of roles to be nodes and to be ambassadors for the project. But particularly the way that it works is we call out different cities and universities around the world to act as nodes, to bring in participants, to form teams, both from their regions, but also around the world, that can specifically work with experts and specifically now working groups that fit within these domains that I just described to work on these challenges, and that these become open and all published into a common wiki. And then I'll show you what that wiki looks like, and common ways for everyone to talk to each other. So how do we mobilize a network, and also, you know, a huge presence of youth to work on concrete solutions around this common complicated puzzle. So this is the wiki where a lot of these prompts are posted. But the way that we will kick off this year, and then we have there Miroslav in COP25 in Madrid announcing a bit of the result of the first Collabothon, is we launch with a series of dialogues on November 9 to talk about some key aspects, the macro aspect of the Paris Agreement and the global stocktake, which is every 5 years we get together to say, what did we say we were going to do? How are we doing now? But also tools for independently working around this task so that it doesn't all fall into the hands of the Secretariat. How do we scale open source collaboration? How do we bring in solutions around emissions accounting, land-based mitigation, technology and standards, and finance? And each dialogue will have a couple of important speakers and then segue into working groups. We've realized there's been a wealth of working groups kicking off. The Climate Change Coalition, for example, has multiple working groups. And just next week, we're going to see how do we synergize to bring a lot of all of that work into making these working groups speaking to each other. So I urge you to check out the dialogues as a way to kick off on November 9, and all the registration links are already posted, so that we can really learn between us and map what everyone around the world is doing. And I think this year is very exciting. There's a lot of work to put these things together, and this is purely a network of volunteers. But it's a nice space because this is where the COP26 should have occurred. So a lot of the climate world and the climate network that normally is on a COP right now is on their houses. And so this is a perfect time to connect us through Zoom and to talk to each other, but also to see, okay, how the different areas and the different organizations and institutions that we manage are driving action on this. How do we learn from what everyone is doing, and how do we synergize a bit more? So I'll be posting up the links, but I'll pass it. I think, you know, so you're closing us off, but Alexander or Doug, I think, are coming up soon. So Miroslav, I'll help you lead the way on the next part. It's a pleasure to have joined you, and I look forward to seeing you in all the other events that we're organizing with the coalition and the Collabothon from now to the end of the year, so that we really bring in a joint effort in the roadmap to COP26 next year. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks for being with us. And I hope everyone has enjoyed, as I did, this presentation of complementary solutions which come together as towards a systemic solution. And with this, I would like to give really Yunus the floor. Alex Caldas from UN Environment couldn't join us. He is working in the field of on World Environment Situation Room. Also with the climate emergency really accelerating, there's a need to have real-time data and good mechanisms that will help us to understand what's going on, where the crises are emerging, and combining citizen science and youth engagement with this global data and digital innovation infrastructure. And we hope that this World Environment Situation Room will also be on our app, so that people could, through the app, then report if there are any problems or any challenges that local or global communities could work on. And with this to Yunus, because you are the one with the bird's perspective, you are the systemic thinker and visionary. What did you hear, and what would you suggest where we go from here?
Well, first of all, I hope I can fulfill your expectations. But it is definitely, I mean, as Mira at the beginning we discussed, I've been following your blockchain community over these past months, and I was trying to bring this discussion to the city's lens. So I'm very happy that at least now we have this a bit more focused discussion. Congratulations all the contributors so far. I was just referring to this, the first thing that comes to my mind on this, the change of the governance from institutions to the direct citizens. This was, I think, also still being challenged, especially during the COVID times. In the COVID times, what we have seen, the importance of public services, that everybody's taking lessons learned, and that was the moment where we also have noticed the local governments that we have been serving to, and they are serving to citizens, when they are undercapacitated, when they are, let's say, less powerful, the citizens are much more fragile, especially for the urban poor. I mean, what we are discussing still here, I always want to recall our mission as a membership organization. Obviously, I should be able to make sure my members, which are the local governments as such, has to be empowered. And that, I think, is particularly true that for us, the blockchain or digitalization is not to reduce or weaken the local governments, but to empower so that they serve better to their citizens, but they are also empowered with the citizen power back to their
Yes,
own
exactly.
system. So I think that is the first thing I would like to put on the table as our basic approach. Second point, there are cases that some of our members have been really championing this digitalization even beyond ICLEI's own capacity. ICLEI has just recently been partnering with Google Earth, also the Google Informatics on the environmental services. So that how you use your remote data. We're also in the European colleagues are working with artificial intelligence for sustainable procurement, the purchasing power, and far in the southeast, East Asia, Korean cities have started to use credit cards that the citizens, by investing in efficiency, can deduct, let's say, savings or achieve savings, and then this turns into their own budgets. That they also have tested this at this eco mileage from Seoul, for example. These were the progresses. So we are aware that there's some things going on in our members, and even I know there was a big discussion, for example, a couple of months ago in Izmir, my hometown. The mayor, when he announced in digital currency for Izmir, he was blamed by the national government and some stakeholders that he is violating the sovereignty, and he had to withdraw slightly his efforts, although there's another city who was implementing as well. But the point I want to make is that within our membership, there's a huge now dynamism that we would like to capture as well, and then to feed us. So this is the second thing I would like to reach you as an invitation. Both Alexei, Martin, and you were mentioning about several of those applications have been joined by some of those members. It may be good that if you inform us. I'm not talking about cities as such, because city is more than local government. I'm really talking, you're asking you which local government digital systems director or sustainability director that you're working with. You don't have to share the data, obviously, but we can check with our membership, and especially this 500 cities that we have known in our list that we announced last week. 500 cities have climate neutrality commitments, and we want to serve them because they're also independently developing these kind of proposals. And this week, when we have launched our climate neutrality framework, be it offsetting, be it innovative financing, we're trying to help them, that we could also tell them that by tracking your emissions or commitment, we can also connect you to the digital community, the blockchain community, so that in the next steps we can be much more aware of their needs, but their experience and our your network, so that we can make this collaborative thinking. In that regard, I am very happy that David mentioned about this European funding. Obviously, there are several rules for this, let's say, tenders. I don't want to commit anything because we have to talk with our membership or colleagues in our European Secretariat and World Secretariat as well. But regardless of this tender, I would like to test, especially, the vision that you put. I mean, there are some of the things that I have never understood. I'm not that age, or I'm not that space, so it sounds a bit alien for me. But I feel that we could approach some of our members for testing, or for giving us or opening the doors for us to implement these kind of model exercises. Maybe we can also make it as modular implementation, because asking one city to apply all of them could also be too much. And it could be, and I would encourage you to think about this with, and I think the IT people, you are familiar with this kind of modular approach. You cannot expect everything to come at the same time. And then the final point, again, this climate neutral. I'm very happy Kale is here, my colleague from ICLEI US. He's our colleagues in our data tools and accounting tools. Obviously, we are working, some of our tools are 20th century, which is you go to your checks and your bills, and then you take the total amount of fuels that you consume, you multiply by the coefficients, and then you make your summary of your emissions. Whereas the real life, the tracking of your emissions and allocating to your citizens is much more different. And definitely now, next week, there will be a science-based targets, let's say, for cities will be released. Obviously, this carbon budget, how it connects to all the cities, how will they be reducing this, is a huge complex issue, which originally frightens even leaders. But if we can offer these kind of solutions, that they do not have to fear, but it is doable. But we cannot ask them immediately commit to use these things, because they don't, as long as they don't see the implementation and the results in terms of political risks, in terms of financial risks, and in terms of, let's say, credibility. Because sometimes those front-runner leaders are also blamed to be too much ahead, and their citizens want them to stop. Don't push us too much. So that then at the end of the elections period, they are not on the ballot box because they were too far away. Therefore, we have to be able to accommodate their realities, that our goal is, yes, we have to extend the frontiers to our citizens, but we have to know about the human society and human psychology and social relations, how it impacts, so that the frontier, be it managers, be it the leaders, are not blamed or being the victim of their this disruptive, as Tom mentioned, that this should be making people not to be discomfortable, but rather feeling them that, yes, change on the good side, because change does not always mean good. Change also means something bad, so that they don't immediately come to the game. Therefore, they may resist initially. And finally, since 2010, we were using this registry, the NASCA, for the information transparency of our members. And I really like Vienna's idea of this S&P for cities, or the climate ambition cities. For example, those 500 cities we have, we could think about how we can use blockchain technologies, that for the next daring cities, how we can bring them, how we can make sure that their transparency is even enhanced, that they are seeing that, yes, they are advancing, so that something is changing on the positive side, that they are encouraged, because seeing is believing in most cases, at least still in the politicians' world. That is the thing that makes the things changing. So these are a couple of cents from my side. As I said, I'm also learning from your experiences, from your visions, but definitely there is a huge potential that we should embrace. I mean, I'm eager to hear what will be the outcome from Martin's the process next week. Next month. I'm not sure I will be able to follow all of them, but definitely we have to test this, and fully agree once again with Martin. The postponement of COP is an excellent opportunity for us to work at home, because Paris Agreement will be at home. The COPs are just the tip of the iceberg. And especially, just again, the example, Japan a couple of months ago were blamed. They announced the second NDC. Nobody was happy because they didn't raise it, but we were aware they were coming something different because they were working with their net zero cities. And now with Japan is next week announcing a 2050 target. So at the moment, our efforts should all go to the capitals and the cities and to the national governments at home to make them feel comfortable that they can raise their ambition because they have neutral cities, climate neutral citizens, or at least give the space for them that they can then elevate their national processes. Yeah, I know we are already over time, but these are my let's say takeaways. Definitely, there are more questions than I had in the beginning, but I think that's good news. This means that I have something processed. But I'm eager to find also the solutions, and very eager to hear a follow-up, especially with your guidance how to take it forward, because of this complex issue needs experts like you and all your colleagues around you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Yunus. I think your suggestion to have this modular approach and also to work on some kind of index that indicates the progress of these daring cities community, that would be really something to work on. And we should really make our homework and prepare some offer and engagement opportunities, which we would then invite you, if you could forward it to these 500 cities, and then we see which one expresses interest for a particular topic, and then to have conversations with them. And Vienna, would you like to have the concluding remarks, as you've started us off with your vision and broad thinking, and please bring us back to earth and tell us what to do.
Well, first of all, I am very inspired by all the solutions that you have shared today. Like, this is by far the most fruitful discussion. Before this, we were all often just talking about the problem. But now I'm like, okay, great. We're starting to have a map of like the type of solutions that are available. So the next thing I want to do now is like, okay, great. Where are the solutions going to be implemented? How can we track the progress of this, like what Yunus said? So I think that is the next step. And I hope that all of us actually bring forth the best of ourselves and say like, I can champion this in my city. Yeah. And then my community, it can be even my household, you know? Like, we can compete against the city if you think that you can.
Wonderful. Yeah, so we will have further rounds of communication via email. And if somebody would like to get connected and also involved in future discussions, please send an email to polsa@glotcha.info, and then we will include you in the further conversation via email. And thank you, everybody. I've learned also very much, and I think there are great opportunities ahead of us and a lot of work.
Yes, thank you so much. And I want to say one more last thing, which is every individual actually has a smaller climate debt than your city, which means that you actually have lower bar when it comes to being climate neutral yourself. So please, like, consider yourself an actor in the 0 degree index as well.
Yes, super. And we will build on your expertise and your vision on getting this done. Perfect. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
every and so I'm very optimistic about that. But, you know, that's great that all of us